this is a novel that was written 50 years ago this year. You know,
Mhm.
when you started to sit down and seriously think about this and kind of plot it out and plan it, what in the initial story did you see that you wanted to pursue into making a show?
I remember the feeling when I read the book. I think the best cinematic storytelling makes you feel, and I remember feeling seen. I remember feeling, oh, someone telling me the truth. I remember feeling hopeful about, finding my first boyfriend, and hopeful about having a healthy sexual experience, hopeful about going to college. I remember those feelings, and they were very rich for me then, and I just believe they would still be rich today. And I wanted to get my sort of hands in the clay to talk about the times for young people today and what their challenges may be, as honestly as Judy did for us 50 years ago in that book.
And I know the book has been the subject of it's been a target of book bans and things like that. Did you ever have any conversations with Netflix or any of your producing partners about like, hey, how far can we go with this?
Well, I love about partnering with Netflix. They were on board and true partners throughout. They believed in the vision. They understood that not only me but the team that I surrounded myself with, that we had our level of integrity and understanding how far, and also bringing the actors and conversation into the storyline. If we're talking about the sexual expression of things, we were clear that we were telling a human story and not talking about sex to talk about sex. I think that, so the trust was there throughout, but conversation was there throughout. I think even the healthiest relationships and the healthiest sex is conversation and communication, and we did that throughout the entire process.
That's such a great point. And I love that you mentioned the actors because that was going to be one of my next questions. You know, love Karen Pittman in this role. I mean, she can do no wrong in any project, truly. But when you started looking at people for the cast, what specific qualities or characteristics were you looking at and were you really honed in on for each character?
I really love talking about the craftsmanship of storytelling, and every choice I made was, when you talk about the actors, amazing actors, talented, committed. Karen's been, you mentioned Karen. Karen, she comes to every project. How can I serve the story? And I think the entire cast was that way. How do we serve these characters? How do we serve the intention of what the series is about? They are master craftsmen at what they do, and so that was the fun too. Is sort of coalescing a team in front of the camera and behind the camera around this. All marching toward that one mission, which is how do we tell this epic, intimate love story within a love letter to Los Angeles? And how do we bring the love of ourselves and what we do and our own memory of love into it? That was what we talked about all the time. And that's what you're seeing on screen.
But did you have any particular plot points or anything that you really said, these are our touchstones, we have to follow this particular skeleton to get to the end?
I wanted to show how just modern times and race and and switching the lens on gender, those three changes just sort of opened up the scope of it. Also, it still is the similar to the book, is that we just want, again, we just want love, healthy, and a future, but just to make us look at life a little differently through a different lens and a little more understanding of each other. So I think those were those key pivots opened up the world, I think, even more.
Since music is so important here, what's one song you were listening to when you were writing the show?
When I'm crafting, I listen to something different than what you are listen with what is in the show. Typically, I'm either listening to Johan Johansson or Akira Kusumura when I'm writing, when I'm crafting. But when I'm in the car, I'm listening to that playlist. I was listening to Plain Jane a lot, A$AP Ferg's. I think that shows up in episode 3. I was listening to that a lot to keep me pumped up and keep me going and keep me motivated. And then when I start crafting, I got to hit Johan or Akira.